seat as well.
Come here. Sit on. Warm it up. It's like 50 degrees in here.
It's a little bit.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
It's Good morning.
Helping?
You didn't give it enough chance. No good deed ever goes unpunished. Thank you, because I'm cool. Good morning. Just some logistics in the future. I'd like there to be space back here so that during the talk, if I choose, I can put the chair back there and sit on a cushion. Just bear that in mind, please. And you seem to be our eternal Jiki now. Slow down. Slow down. Let people get comfortable. Let people slow down. We're not going anywhere. Slow down. So when you start your own Zendo in Oregon, you've got just the right pace. You know exactly. Slow down, since you seem to be our permanent Jiki. And if you never move to Oregon, you'll get really good at it. I'd like to do a thought experiment this morning, which I do occasionally. See how it works out for you all, for all of you. So just clear your mind and be in a place of safety and silence, darkness, and travel back about 2,000 years. And we've gathered here to talk about the Dharma. 2,000 years ago, it was highly unusual for ordinary people to know how to read and write. Highly unusual. But there were those in those times who had developed those skills, who had developed the ability to read and write, who had sat perhaps at the feet of a great teacher to learn things. And every now and then, the people would gather to listen to what the teacher had to say, what the teacher had to share about the Dharma. So as the elder in our community, I want to play that role, take that role today, and just have us talk a little bit about part of our sutra book. So this is what I've learned from my decades of study, learning from the people who knew people who knew the people who knew the Buddha, the real Buddha. You are this light, pure selfless awareness. Rely upon selfless awareness. Do not rely upon concepts of self and other that appear. Do not depend upon beliefs, sensations, and emotions which arise and fall away. Meditative awareness, clear intention, acting wisely, compassionately, and skillfully are this practice. Rely upon this only. Rely upon this ceaselessly. Do you understand? Do you understand? What does that mean? This was communicated to me by somebody who was 5 steps, 6 steps removed from the historic Buddha who taught this. And I'm bringing this to our community or to our friendship so that we can all try to learn and develop ourselves as human beings. You are this light. What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? Rely upon selfless awareness. What does that mean? Selfless awareness. It's a good thing he's dead, because if I had to go back and report to him that I shared the teaching and everybody sat stupid, didn't say anything, he'd be really upset. Selfless awareness. How can I be aware and not be a self? What is selfless awareness? Do you understand?
Can I say it the way
You can say whatever you want. We're gathered here in this ratty old mud brick shelter here, a fire going in the middle.
Oh, yes, that's right.
2,000 years ago.
I feel that it's stepping away from yourself to realize that you are interconnected with everything around you, whether it's a person, an animal, a plant, a rock, an altar, and just realizing that you are not the most important person in the world, yet you can still make a difference by the way you react.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's how I think it.
Hmm. Pretty good. Now say it without the word you.
Did I use you? I tried so hard.
You failed.
I feel that pure selfless awareness is being aware of those around you, and how myself affects those around me, whether that is a person, plant, thing, beast, the very air that I breathe, and that the way that I go about my life can affect others around me.
Does that feel different? Does that feel different to
I
say?
think so.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it make sense?
To me?
Yeah. You're the only one talking. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pure selfless awareness. Do not rely upon concepts of self and other that appear. Do not depend upon beliefs, sensations, and emotions which arise and fall away. What does that mean? How do we interpret that?
For me, that's all the stories that I've ever told myself of who I am and what I believe. They're just stories, and they're not truth. So I can't say that they're truth because of the fact that it's a story. It's not absolute reality. It's nothing that lasts eternally. It's nothing that's foundational for everything. That it's just floating away constantly.
Can you give your community here an example of that?
Like, in my beliefs, you know, I feel that you know, I could believe that, you know, certain actions are completely incorrect.
Don't try too hard. Are you good enough? Are you lovable? Are you competent?
Hope so.
Wrong answer. Are you good enough? Are you lovable? Are you competent?
Yes.
Is that the story you tell yourself about yourself?
Yes.
Wonderful. This, I think, is what we mean by the stories that we tell about ourselves, and you use that word. Some people tell the story about themselves that they're not lovable or competent or valuable. You all know those stories. We all have those stories from time to time. Things aren't going well. I'll never be happy. I'll never figure this out. I'm not lovable. Do not rely upon that. That's an illusion. Similarly, do not depend upon beliefs, sensations, and emotions which arise and fall away. The same theme. What happens when you die? Speaking of beliefs. When you die, what happens? What's your belief?
Oh, my personal belief?
Yeah.
Because the body dies. I don't know if it's true what that sutra says, then no one is born, no one dies. But my physical body is not reliable either. It's impermanent, subject to time, old age, death, disease.
But what about the priest down the street who's teaching people that when they die they go to heaven? And the one down the street over here who says they come back as turtles.
I think if that's what they believe, wonderful.
What?
I think if that's what they believe, wonderful.
Wow.
That's what makes them comfortable and happy.
Do not depend upon beliefs, sensations, and emotions.
Like yesterday, when I was like stuck in emotional upheaval, and I was like, oh, this is going to be the way my life is forever. But then I was like, no, that's not true.
Selfless. Meditative awareness, clear intention, acting wisely, compassionately, and skillfully are this practice. Rely upon this only, rely upon this ceaselessly. What in the world does that mean?
Sit, watch.
Meditative awareness, clear intention, acting wisely, compassionately, and skillfully are this practice. Rely upon this only, rely upon this ceaselessly.
I believe it means if you pay attention, you'll find that what the beginning of the sutra said concepts of self-belief are not reliable, and they always change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the skillful action that it takes and the practice that it takes to be aware of that. And that builds, I mean, I would assume the intention is set to pay attention, and then wisdom and skillful means is cultivated if that practice is engaged upon consistently. At least that's what it means for me.
Are you sure about that?
100% positive.
I can't hear you. What?
100% positive.
I still can't hear you. What?
100% positive.
Oh. So you're sure of that? Oh. So that portion of this reading, of this teaching, is pointing to the process of meditative awareness, of sitting down and being quiet and looking inside and being still. There's a new phrase that's found its way into our larger group. It's stufu. Stufu. S-T-F-U. Can you guess what that means? What?
Well, what comes to my mind is shut the blank up.
Right. As we speak, there are people that one of Jumpo's legacies. And as we speak, there are people getting that tattooed on their bodies. I'm serious. To sit and be quiet. Not to concern ourselves with things that have no resolution. To sit and be quiet. Let whatever comes, come. Let whatever comes arise and fall. Rise and fall. Look at it. Laugh at it. Cry. Whatever it is. Things arise and fall. And stufu. Make sense? I think the most challenging part of this is the idea of relying on concepts of self and other, particularly in our culture. I think it's more difficult in our culture than in less developed cultures, because we think we're so smart. We think we understand the psychological makeup of our life. We understand the impact of family of origin. We're pretty smart. Late 20th century, early 21st century. Well, there are some people that aren't very smart. And sometimes I think they're the happiest people around. Because they don't know themselves. They haven't bothered with the kind of questions that you've bothered with. So when we read that next Thursday, maybe something from this conversation will jump out at you, and you can give it some thought while you're sitting here not thinking. Anything else?
Victor, welcome.
We want to hear from you. We always pick on our new people. How was this today?
Actually, I enjoyed it.
You sound surprised. Have you sat before?
No, I have not.
You've not. You physically comfortable?
A little sore.
Well, then you did it right. Is anything you want to ask about what we've done here today, or any of the toys and rituals?
I'm just taking it all in slowly.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to come back. There's no charge to come here. There's a clipboard on that bench out there. If you'll very carefully write your name and email, I can add you to our list. You won't get a lot of email, I promise. Partly because half the people who write their name and I can't read, so they don't get added. And now what we do on Sunday, if you're interested, is we go to the Attic Coffee Shop and drink coffee and talk smart. So you're welcome to join us. So let's do that.